Of course, we start on me blowing my damn nose. Ugh, I swear. Good evening, folks. I'm sorry I didn't get to pop on this morning. Uh, Certain things were scheduled at the last minute, and I was not able to call off work. Well, I did call off work, but I mean, it wasn't planned. Okay, so, and then I was going to do a video this morning, from the house like I normally do, and I conked out until it was time for what had to be done. And so that's what happened this morning. We will be back in the parking lot tomorrow for you folks, the 2 or 3 of you who might be interested. Okay? But one thing I wanted to go over is the latest Fallout trailer, because they've dropped quite a few interesting things in here that's making me, wonder. Hang on, first I gotta look up an actor's name because I always screw it up. So, join me in the land of Wiki. Walter, is it Scoggins or is it Coggins? I can't remember the guy. Okay, it's Goggins. Goggins. I always mess up his name, so this guy's character is going to factor into some things, okay? Let's get some more people in here, and then we will start. I'm going to play this a little bit, and then we're going to stop. Then we're going to play it a little bit, and then we're going to stop, because there's some rather interesting things I think a lot of people missed. All right? Including that loogie I just fired up. Oh, that was a big one. I think part of my brain shot out. Oh, all right. Oh, all right. So, anti-back. All right, there we go. All right. A little rocket fuel there to help get us shooting along. All right, so let's start right here at the beginning. All right, Walter Goggins' character. Now, we just know him as the Ghoul. There's a delay. Can it, domestic? All right. You're too late. All right. And I thought it was very interesting that his character is popping up here at the very beginning as the guy who seems to be selling the Voltech name. So, all right, we're going to start playing this right here.
Hello there. I'm here to show you a wonderful place.
Now let's halt. What makes this rather interesting is the fact that he's standing in front of the door for Vault 4. One of the more popular DLCs that you can get for Fallout 4 is called Forville. Like I said, though, it's not canon and all that. Probably not, unless these guys have seen it and or played it, because it is literally a mind screwer. Forville. If you want to get a chance, I'm not going to give you too many spoilers on that in particular. But it is a very good DLC to download and play. It's a mod, of course, over on Nexus. A very interesting adventure with a very interesting punchline, and I think, shall we say, a very interesting climax would be more important, a better way to say it. Or if you're in a twisted Rod Serling kind of ending mood, that's where it leads. It's a very, like I said, I don't want to give you away too much, but I thought it was very interesting that they set this at Vault 4. Okay? So we're okay. Like I said, nothing happened or anything like that. None of us have been debilitated and or killed. All right, so nothing to worry about, all right? If there was something to worry about, I'd be gone for like a couple of weeks. Well, then again, I disappeared on COVID, and I still feel bad about that because I should have been there for the audience, and I wasn't. And contrary to popular belief, that's where I lost a lot of my subscribers. It had nothing to do with the Whitaker Chibnall thing. Unlike some brain-dead, confused wind tunnel-tested hairdo guys have been suggesting. Had nothing to do with that. All right, so interesting they started out in front of Vault 4. Plus you've got, as I said, Walter Goggins' character seemingly as a Voltech representative. Let's play on.
A veritable Camelot, the nuclear age. Not made by God Almighty, but the working man.
You can be a hero by purchasing a residence in a Voltech vault today. Because if the worst should happen tomorrow, the world is going to need you to build a better day after.
Okay, let's halt right there just for a quick note. The reason why, all right, the TV's Radiation King, which of course is a brand that's involved, in Fallout in general. It's like, I think it's mainly TVs for Radiation King. Also, notice it's in black and white. The reason being is, and I'm hoping this is what they're going to stick with, is Fallout, especially 3, 4, and all that came later, takes place in a parallel world. It's not our world, it's a parallel world where things were different. Oil, fossil fuels and all that were not as abundant across the world as they are in, of course, Earth Prime as we say it. All right? So, in that world, a lot of things were atomic powered. Atomic power was advanced in a different way. Basically, think of it as sometime after World War II, even though there are a few things that were different before that. The major divergence they keep speaking about in the game and all that, especially in the guides, is after World War II. Things went a completely different direction. Like most cars in America were atomic powered by 2077 when the bombs fell. Also, America, as well as others, became more and more reliant on atomic power rather than fossil fuels. Matter of fact, fossil fuels became so much in demand that the Chinese invaded Alaska, which led to America annexing Canada, and no, they were not happy about it, in order to launch the Anchorage, Alaska campaign to kick the Chinese out of Alaska. And they were successful, and the Chinese weren't happy. And they were matter of fact, Russia barely gets even mentioned at all, if I can think of, in the Fallout universe. It was mainly America versus China. The Sino-American War, as it's referred to later. The war that took a whopping 2 hours, which happened October 23rd, 2077, in that universe. Okay? So, that's why I was a little bit distressed when I'm seeing cars in the trailers that look too much like contemporary models here, because when you look at the cars in Fallout 3, 4, and all that, they look more like stuff that we had designed as concept cars back in the 50s. They did not look anything like a lot of the cars that we have out today. There were different different brands. I'll tell you, that really came out good, didn't it? There were different brands, such instead of, Chrysler, you had Chrysler, you had the Corvega, instead of the Corvette and stuff like, lots of subtle differences here and there. Also, as I said before, a lot of the cars were atomic powered, and when you went to a Red Rocket gas station, you had a choice. If you could afford a fuel vehicle, I believe they had gas there, but for the most part, what they were changing in your car was coolant. And of course, that radioactive trash when waste begins to build up and up and up. But let's keep going here just to get, I just mean that, did not mean that to take so long, but just giving you a little sidetrack there. Let's keep moving. All right, halting it quick right here. I see this Ferris wheel, these outbuildings and whatnot, and I know this is taking place on the West Coast, but there was a part of me that thought of Point Lookout, which was like the big DLC, first DLC. Point Alaska, or the Operation Anchorage, I think was the first one. But there was a Broken Steel. By the way, one of the big DLCs for Fallout 3 was Point Lookout. And that's what I thought of when I saw this, but I highly doubt that's Point Lookout. But okay, stop here. When you look at the sign, Shady Sands Public Library, one of the first major locations you encounter in Fallout, the original game. All the way back in the day when it was a turn-based strategy game. Long before it was a first-person shooter. Shady Sands is one of the first major locations in that game. Oh, wait a minute. I'm blanking. Or was Shady Sands Fallout 2? Please, Phil, let me in if I'm wrong. Okay, let me know if I'm wrong there. I could have swore Shady Sands was the first one in Fallout, the original. But I might be slipping there. Okay, let's keep it moving. Maybe it was Fallout 2, but it was one of the originals. The brain's just not ticking, man. But look that up, Shady Sands Fallout, and you've got it, all right? Let's keep moving forward.
The mission of the vaults should be important to everyone. To come up to the surface one day and restart civilization.
And of course, right here is a stim pack. Let's wind that up. Which is the way you heal up in the game. Of course, there's your Voltech bobbleheads, which, you know, you get little perks and stuff for finding them scattered throughout the game. All right, let's keep going.
For the last 200 years.
All right, we're going to halt right there very quickly. From what's being said about this game, the original game, or well, the original first-person shooter one, was Fallout 3, and that was 200 years after the apocalypse, which was October 23rd, 2077. So Fallout 3 takes place in 2277. Fallout 4 is 10 years after that. All right, thanks for verifying that for me, Kevin. I could have swore, so I had it right the first time. Fallout 4 starts in 2287. And for what's being said, this is taking place at Vault 34 and all that in the series 9 years after the events in Fallout 4. So this is 2296, somewhere in that neighborhood. So that's why you're going to see a lot of things you're going to remember from Fallout 4 as well as 3, is because of where this takes place at. This is after all the big games that have been out so far. Except for 76, which sucks. And we will not discuss 76 because, oh God, that was $60 I'll never get back. All right.
Holy shit. You're an actual vault dweller.
I am.
I thought all you dipshits were dead.
What you're doing is...
Okay, let's stop, of course, right there very quickly. Voltech, the company behind the vaults, when you play the games, you find out that there were a certain number of vaults that were control vaults, where life, as the guy described it, carried on as normal underground. You know, people were growing their own crops, help them take care of the vault, happily making children, and generations lived in the vaults underneath while the world was recovering from, the big boom. Well, there were other vaults, though, that were just basically set up as control experiments, where they threw nifty things at you. Such as there was one vault, for example, off the top of my head, they put literally alcoholics, drug addicts, and, anyone who had any type of addiction into one vault. And I believe that was 95. All right. And then suddenly, a few years after, because Voltech planted one guy in with the group, and mysteriously, just a few years after the bombs and after the vault was sealed and all that, he finds, let's say that in air quotes, like Doctor, finds a room that has been hidden behind a wall by accident that's containing booze, drugs, and all that. Just because Voltech wanted to see if they would hold it together after being off the drugs for a certain amount of time or completely lose it. Well, as you know, the latter happened. Because Vault 95 literally became a boneyard. All right, well, LA is called the boneyard, but Vault 95 became a tomb. Because just about everybody wiped each other out in one big massive drug booze binge party. So that's what happened. All right, let's keep moving.
It's insane.
I don't set the world
It isn't like the vault out there. It's big.
higher. I just want to start.
Interesting. Here's Walter Goggins again, but of course now he is a ghoul. And any of you who've played the games for Fallout, in the Fallout universe, a very small percentage of the population had some kind of ability that they, instead of irradiating and being killed, they actually, their skin would peel off, their body would begin to fall apart, they'd lose their skin, lose their hair, and then they became ghouls. And in a lot of cases, ghouls are immortal. But there's also a catch. When certain ghouls get to be a certain time of age, the brain begins to be rotted away by the radiation they've accumulated. And that's how you get feral ghouls, which are basically the equivalent of big, fast zombies. So regular ghouls pretty much have their own intelligence. This guy, we know has got to be at least, well over 200 years old, because we've seen his character in the sequence in the first trailer where he's, there when the bombs go off. And you're going to see that again here in a little bit, which means he's well over 200 years old. Well over 200 years old. He's been around since before the bombs dropped. Plus now we're getting this bit that he may have been working for Voltech. So that right there makes it interesting. All right, here we go. Wham, bam, thank you, man. Let's keep going.
I've had a rough week. Practically every person I've met up here has tried to kill me.
I'm simply going to harvest your organs.
Okay, another big thing I want to just mention. Everybody who sees the robot keeps saying, it's Codsworth. Codsworth was a General Atomics Mr. Handy robot. Which, by the way, they had fights over that for a while because Fallout kept screwing up. First they were saying it was, give me a break. First it was General Atomics, then it was the guy who's made the Robo-Brains, Robco. They couldn't make up their own damn minds who built them. But apparently they decided that, the Mr. Handy was General Atomics. They all had British accents. You could customize their voice later on, as we've seen with, Whitechapel Charlie and things like that. But no, he's just a regular Mr. Handy. Or Curie, by the way, who they had the Miss Nanny version, where you could have a female voice assigned to your Mr. Handy, who became Mr. Nanny to help take care of your kids. Or Mrs. Nanny, sorry. And then, of course, there's been legends about the Miss Weldy, and that came from a DLC, I believe. But you rarely ever see them because they were designed to work on ships at sea, doing welding. And then, of course, there was the the Mr. Gutsy, which was the military version of the Mr. Handy, which was a bit more armored and given assault weapons of different types and things like that. Even though your general Mr. Handy usually comes with like a flamethrower, a buzzsaw, and a pincher. Yeah, that's something you want hanging around your kids. But okay. Or it's the Miss Nanny, sorry. There was the Miss Nanny, there was Curie, who was... I can't remember what the acronym stood for, so blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, so you could definitely customize these to do different roles. The General Atomics Mr. Handy, as they were generally known. So there was a lot of them running around because they were mass-produced and they could do a lot of different shit. All right, let's keep moving. So no, it's not Codsworth, it's just... Yeah, the series is looking good. I gotta say that. They're really holding to the feel of it.
You need to go home.
And of course, there's Ben Linus from Lost. It's always good when he's hanging around.
You come from a world of rules, of laws. You should not be alone.
All right, let's halt right here. One of the more famous Fallout guys who's made, I don't even want to know, countless videos about Fallout. I don't want to hit on him too hard because I love his videos. Threw a screaming apeshit fit because this airship looked like the Prydwen from Fallout 4. And I'm like, the Prydwen was built on the East Coast. You're correct. Unlike the other airships that were built on the West Coast. But it was built off plans that probably came with them from the West Coast. So that's why this thing looks like the Prydwen. Built on the same plans. And I hate to say this because I love his videos, but Oxhorn, duh. Love you, brother. All right, let's keep moving.
Why did you join the Brotherhood?
To hurt the people who hurt me?
People are going to come after you.
Ain't much stays clean up here, Voltech. Well, now that is a very small drop in a very, very large bucket of drugs.
Okay, this is not unprecedented. All right, what's going on here more than likely is the fact that this guy's been around for over 200 years. And he's probably on a lot of different chems. Between, you know, the fact that everybody he's known in his life is dead. The ones who did, you know, even the ones who somehow survived the Big Bang explosion, yada yada, bang bang, nuclear war, probably died of radiation exposure or anything like that, you know, within years of each other. So, of course, he's probably a chem addict, which explains this little bit here. A lot of ghouls are, so it's not unexpected.
Look out at this wasteland. Looks like chaos. But there's always somebody behind the wheel.
And that part really intrigues me. Because, as we've seen in the beginning of the video, it seems like, you know, he's working for Voltech. And he says there's always somebody behind the wheel. And it's been hinted that Voltech knew a lot more about what was going on. And also by the way they treated their vaults, you know, basically using people as guinea pigs, that they kind of knew what was coming down the pike. And whether it hit too soon and they were wiped out, or they were prepared just in time for it and they are sitting there pulling the strings, it's never really been, you know, gone into. So, no, ghouls are all noseless in the game. Yeah, that's one of the things you lose, Roger. All the ghouls in the games are noseless. It's one of the bits that fall off. Along with probably other things that, if it did, you probably would be on chems as well. Okay? And of course, there is Walter Goggins' character running down as the bombs are going off in the background, carrying this child, which we assume to be his daughter. We're not sure. And that pretty much confirms that, yes, he's well over 200 plus years old. There's a Yagwai. I don't know what the hell that is, but please tell me that's not a Mirelurk. That's him, of course, doing chems.
Everyone wants to save the world. They disagree on how.
There you are, you little killer.
And of course, they're dropping all the episodes at once. So, BK, be there. Okay, that means the spoilers are going to hit fast and furious. You're going to have a bunch of guys out there, you know, like people I used to know, you know, like, you know, that guy who lives somewhere and who binge watches everything the second it comes out. So, oh yeah, well, we've already seen Rad Roaches, Kevin, so I'm assuming Rad Scorpions are going to make an appearance. We've seen Yagwai, so it's not beyond expectation, especially given the fact this is taking place on the West Coast. I know, I've been hearing a lot about the Oscars, but like I said, I didn't watch them. I frankly don't give a shit. I stopped giving a shit about stuff like that a long time ago, really. I know, I think Shooty went. Didn't he? Or he was seen at some awards. But like I said, I just don't care. Ugh. Alrighty, folks. Well, that's all I had for you, really. Okay, a reminder, as I said before, we will be back in the parking lot tomorrow. So be sure to tune in around 5:20-ish. And... oh, that's right. X-Men 97 is coming, and I've been looking forward to that for like almost 30 years. I just hope they do a better job with the animation on that than they did in the later seasons of that X-Men series that it's picking up from. And so we'll have to see. Well, I'm going to get going. Like I said, we will definitely be back in the parking lot tomorrow morning, so we'll see you then. Be kind, be calm, be safe, everybody. We'll see you on the flip side. Take care. And have a good day. All right, why BBC News has a fast channel now, I don't know. I'm sorry, Jessica, I don't know. I'll have to do some digging into that, okay? See if I hear anything, stick my ear to the wall and see if anybody says something.